Hi, my name is Karen Daniel, also known as a TwitchyStitcher, and I'm coming to you from London, Ontario, home of Karen the Stitching Owl, Lisa of Forest City Stitching, and Caroline of Off the Grid Needle Arts, who also owns a little company called Evertotes you probably have heard of. This is my first floss tube, and I thought I'd start with a whip parade. I've been cross stitching for a lot of years, so I have a few whips. I'm thinking in the 30 range, but we'll find out. And after I show my whips, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, if you're still interested. So the first whip I want to start with is called the Paper Doll Sampler. And it's by Doreen Jones. And I started this because as a little girl, I love paper dolls. And this is so reminiscent of my favorite childhood memories that I started this a few years ago. This one is the Mad Hatter. I started this about 3 years ago, and it's by a European designer. It's just fabulous. Drop the paper, sorry. I'm going to butcher the name, but I'm going to try it. Nahizda Kazavina. And I started this in 2014. As you can see, some of these are old ones that I need to get back to, but with so many new stuff, I keep adding new ones. This is called Trick or Treat, and it was out of a magazine that used to be around called the Cross Stitch Collection. No, this one is just Cross Stitch, Halloween 2014. I started it in 2022. And it's by Sharon Pope. I'm going to make more mistakes, so I'm not going to stop and delete every time because it's just not going to work. The next one is The Sunflower Fairy by Joan Elliott, who is my favorite designer. So you'll see a few pieces of hers in the next few episodes. And this is the pitiful finish I have started. However, Joan just started selling PDFs, so this one will be whipping along. And it's also on my whip go for this year, so it'll get some extra stitches too. And this is just part of the skirt, but I love the colors. Yellow and blue are a favorite combination of mine. And the fabric is a mint green. And if I don't mention it, my fabrics are just plain Aida that I've dyed myself or just bought a stock color of. And I usually work in 14 or 16 count. This one is Enchanting Rachel. This is just the skirt. She's going to look like that when she's done, and it's by Teresa Gill. I started this in 2022, and you can see there's going to be lots of beads to go. And Rachel Q is also doing this project if you want to see other pictures. I'm just dropping them on the carpet. Another Joan Elliott. the Sorceress. I also now have it on PDF, so it'll be speeding along. And this is my start. Now this is on the sewing shop. Kaylee's dyed this, and it's called Shirley Temple. And this is just a little part of the skirt and chair edge that I'm at. This one is Luna by Mirabilia. I've been working on this for a little while, but it's coming along, but I have to admit I'm not real thrilled with the colors. So I'm hoping they do work with the purple. This is just a printed Ada I got from Amazon. This is Queen Anne's Lace, also by Nora Corbett. And after I put in 3 spools of pink chronic in the wings, I do not like the colors at all. I definitely don't like it enough to put the beads in, and there's a lot of beads in this one. And I really think this might be a UFO at this point, because it's never going to be displayed because I don't like the colors. They just don't work for me. I really like pink and green, but not these pinks. Nope. So this might be the last time you see this one. This is it up? Yes. This is a peppermint purple stitch along from 2023. I chose the terses layout. Found out I don't really enjoy black work. So it's been a bit of a struggle bus, this one. But what I'm doing is every other Monday I'm doing 2 squares. This is a terses layout. So once I'm done, there'll be another whole frame of red squares to go around it. So I'll be happy with it once it's done. So I will struggle away to get this finished. This one's a biggie. This is my leap year sal. I belong to the Facebook group for the leap year. And this is Maria Diaz. This is her miniature world, her Edwardian dollhouse. And let me just check the information. It was in the cross stitch collection from March through July 2015. I'm working on the salon right now, and I started it on February last year, and I work on it the 29th and 30th of every month. And I'm a little over 50%, so we're well on our way to a leap year finish. And this is what it's going to look like when it's all done. Sally King, Bothy Threads. This was a full kit, so I'm using kit fabric, kit colors, everything that was included. And I have half done. It really is quite a beautiful and stunning piece of work, so I'm really pleased with this. Really time consuming, but well worth the the weight. Plus, I just love shoes. Can't get enough of shoes. The next one is a bit of a joke. I follow Jen, the caffeinated cross stitcher, and she has this as one of her projects, and she complains about it. And I have to admit, I bought it just for the fun of it because I love the colors. But every time I work on it, I think about Jen trying to struggle through this one where I just delight in the colors. And this is on, I don't know if you can see the fabric, but it's striped. And it's Kaylee's fabric, again, from the sewing shop. And it's called Partridge. And this is by Barb Tortolate. It's going to be so much fun when it's done. Whole lotta latte. The next one is by Leslie Tier, and it's a Glorious Seahorse. And this is in just a regular A to C green. It has quite a bit of chronic. You can't probably see it, but right there is all chronic. And there's a whole bunch of chronic waves to go around it. And I started this in December of 24, and it's also a Whip Go project. And I believe it's already been called for this year. But I'm well over 50% on this one. Sorry. The next one is by Satsuma Street, Jody Rice. And I bought this one at the stitching ball last year. The jingle ball that Lindy Stitches has. And as you can see, this was already been called for Whip Go. And I'm at, I believe, right around 80% right now. So it will be done before the end of the year. And that's what it's going to look like when it's all done. So really unique Christmas colors. But I love bold, bright colors. So anything like that always catches my attention. This is an old one. I bought the PDF from Cooler Studio. So it didn't go into Pattern Keeper perfectly, but I'm still using it. And this was my birthday start for last year. So that's just the beginning of it. The next one is also a Whip Go. It's called Atelier Angel by Elena Kashkalina. And it was my Whip Go for February. And that's it so far. And it has a lot of back stitching. Oops, the light. I was blocking the light. But I really enjoy this stitch. It's going to be pretty unique when it's done, and I like things like that. Another Joan Elliott. Canadian Beauty. And I just think it's so... It so encompasses being a Canadian and how proud we are of being in a beautiful country like Canada. We have a lot of wildlife and a lot of wild areas, and we're very lucky to have so many trees. And there. This is also on a Kaylee fabric. I don't have the name of it right now, but if you need to know, I can get it for you. I belong to her subscription service, so you will see quite a few of her pieces of fabric because they're just so lovely and soft and beautiful colors to work with. And this was also a whip go, already been called. The next one is Butterflies 2. And you've probably seen it around because there's quite a few of us working on it. I'm a center starter. So when you see other people's work, they've started opposite me. I'm going to take a list of who all is in this one. And it's Laura of Stitching at the Shore, Karen, the Stitching Owl, Mary from Mary's Stitching Corner, Amy of Renewing Stitches, and Rachel Q of Rachel Q Stitches are all working on this one right now. I'm, however, doing mine for a hoop finish. So I'm not doing the little corner pieces. Sorry about that. There's little corner pieces right there that I'm not going to be doing. And that's upside down. Yeah, this is going to be a winner, isn't it? All right, there it is. The next one is by Ellen Reed of Maximum Cross Stitch. And this is Anne Boleyn. Carolyn of Off the Grid Needle Art has a picture framed behind her when she's doing a floss tube. If she hasn't changed it, that's still there, and you can see the finished part. It does have a few beads, not very many, I think maybe 50 or 60. So this was a whip go start for this year. And it's just on plain Ada. I just wanted the design to really show. Next one is another kit. Vintage Simplicity. Tina of Tina Stitches has just finished this maybe a month or two ago. So if you want to see the finished articles, she did a fabulous job on it. She's also a fellow Canadian. And there's my start. I just about have most of the cross stitching in the bottom half done. There's quite a bit of half stitches that are done for shading, and I still have to do the back stitching. But this was a whip go call for this month. So I've got quite a bit in already, and I try to do 2,500 stitches for each project for whip go. So this has only got about 1,000 or 1,200 this month so far. So it still has quite a bit to go. Shannon Christine. Love this girl's colors. I belong to her subscriber group too. So you'll be seeing more of Shannon and Kaylee's fabrics and Shannon's project charts quite frequently because I'll be working on them every month. And this is the Rainbow Band sampler. And I just started this a couple months ago. So it still has some work to go. But that's just one hoop setting. As you can see, I use Nerd hoops. So when I move it over, then I'll complete the section over here. This is the Canadian Tier by Erin Elizabeth. I'm working on this with Karen the Stitching Owl. We're doing a few tiers over the past few months. So this is my 4th tier. When I do a finish parade, you'll see the other ones. But this one I hope to get done this month before Canada celebrates their birthday at the beginning of July. And this again is just a printed Ada. But I love the scallop lace work on the tiers. It really makes them look good. This one is part of a gnome along. So this is a stitch along I'm doing with a few other friends. And when I talk to it on my regular floss tube, I will give you more information about it. It's a soda stitch, so you don't get a cover picture when you buy the PDF pattern. So this is just a picture I got of the net, off their site on Etsy. So you can see I'm just doing the little gnome with the frog on top of the books this time. So this is just a single, and I generally do a flat fold if I finish. So I don't need a great deal of border around for framing or anything like that. And the last whip I'm going to show you is Snow White by Tiny Modernist. This was a whip go call for this month, and also was a brand new start. And I just got that done last night. No, the night before. I just finished 2,500 stitches on it. And this is what it's going to look like when it's all done. And that fabric by Kaylee was called Shirley Temple. And that's my whips. I have a couple I didn't find. I have to find them because one is a huge Joan Elliott. And my smalls, I have some pieces that are going to be for decorations, like for trees or things like that, and bookmarks, and a few other small things that I didn't show you. And I'll show you some other time. A little bit about myself. I started stitching in the 70s doing a petty point. I had better eyesight then. And I've stitched all up until now, on and off with projects. Always had an ongoing project. I was with one of my granddaughters. We were watching TV, and in the spring of 2022, I discovered a floss tube. I'd never heard of it before. I'd never met anyone who stitched before. So it was a solitary activity for me. And I ran into a floss tube, and it was Jen Hicks. And they were packing up and leaving Hawaii. And she showed me, or she showed all of us, plastic totes with all her cross-stitch supplies, and started talking about all her projects. And it blew my mind away. I've been monogamous since the 70s. And I didn't know people work on different projects on different days, or have more than one project going at a time. And they talk about falling down the rabbit hole. Well, I wasn't a rabbit. There was no rabbit hole. If you're old enough, you'll understand this. Wile E. Coyote was behind me. I was the road runner, and the Grand Canyon opened up. If you get it, you get it. So by the end of January, but no, by the beginning of 2023 in January, I checked and I had 20 whips. So from 0 to 20 in a year, it's a bit much, but I was having fun. I'm retired. I do what I want to do most days. And now I'm up to around 30 to 35 whips. I'll do a count at the end of the day and I'll know for sure. I want to talk a little bit about some game changers for me. And these, I don't know which floss tubers opened my mind to these, but you never know how a simple how to or something can change someone's world. I want to talk about floss drops. I had always been a bobbinator. I didn't know there was any other way, but I was so tired of the mess of winding all the floss on, then cutting a piece off, then winding all the bits back on, and began to look like a hairy bundle. And it never looked neat again once you started using the floss. And I had a complete set, I believe, since the early 90s. I realized I had a complete set of DMC floss. So there was, I think, 4 or 5 little totes, the ones that everyone has, full of bobbins. And then they were talking about the creases and the kinks and the knots. And I'm going, oh, yes. And they talked about floss drops. And I thought, well, that's a great idea. So I did something really unique. I cut decks of cards in half. My daughter is a scrapbooker, and I used her little cutting tools to cut them. And I just use tags from the dollar store that I can peel off and reuse the cards again and again and again. I just didn't want to invest in them if I didn't like them. I've now invested in a few, but I really like these cards. They're cheap, they're easy. You don't feel bad if one gets a little worn out. You just toss it and open another deck of cards. And the other thing that really changed is learning how to do loop starts and pin starts and all the different ways to start and stop your floss. That to me, because I work, I have a little bit of problem with my wrists, so I work with a stand. So, in and out, in and out. And that really changed having to start and stop all the time and, flip everything back and forth. So that was a really neat thing. I talked to you about my subscriptions, and the other thing I want to talk about is my plans. So I plan to do an update in the first week of the month. I'm not going to set myself to a certain day. Things might come up, whatever, but if you subscribe, click notification, you'll know what's going on in my world. The other thing I've got planned is I'm going to do a tour of my craft room, which is going to conclude my spreadsheets on keeping track of my floss and my projects. I have my floss drop storage system, storage for all my kitted up projects that aren't started yet. And I think I have close to as many kitted up as I have whips. I think that's about it. I do want to do a few shout outs though. I want to talk about Karen the Stitching Owl, who and Laura of Stitching by the Shore, who inspired me to start my own floss tube. They were great supporters. I want to thank Katie, Jeremiah's mom. If you don't watch her, she will lift your spirits no matter what. She is such a happy lady. Hi, Jeremiah. Let me see. Mary of Mary's Stitching Corners. She really helped quite a bit too. So these ladies really kept me inspired, and it's their fault that you're listening to me now. And I'd also like to thank my bestie, Christine. Without you, there wouldn't be me, because you brought me out of myself. And the other thing I wanted to mention before I go is, if you find or have been invited to a Zoom, take the time to go. It expands your circle. You learn so many things, and having friends who are other stitchers really, it's like a warm hug when you go on a Zoom with other stitchers, even if you've never met any of them before. They're so welcoming. It's such a wonderful community. So please open yourself up to a Zoom call. Even if you're not really technical, it's worth the effort. I wanted to do a shout out. There's a new creator on. I've been watching her quite a bit. I think she has about 3 or 4 now. And her channel is Tommy Creates. And Tommy is Thomi. And she's only been stitching a little while, but she has an artistic background. And the way she approaches each project, the way she sees colors, is just astounding. I've learned so much from her. So if you like to see a new floss tuber, please check her out. And I just wanted to end with one word, and that is always be true to yourself. Give yourself the gift of being that. Thank you. And I'll see you next time. Bye all.